Hello, fellow humans. This is a tune I actually wrote about 1.5 years ago. I wasn't able to sing it back then, so I'm going to give it a try now. It's called Slow Motion. I'm a stress fracture just waiting to happen. Reinforced with popsicle sticks and bits of tape. Knowing full well how to land. Just waiting for the next big break. I'm tumbling down in slow motion. Yes, do it in slow motion. Sweat inside, sad but not crying. Maybe you can make me feel whole, if only for a moment. I'll take it, I'll keep it in the snow glow. In the future, I will shake it and I'll watch the scene trapped inside. Fake, but good enough for me. I need to let some pressure off soon. Maybe if I poke a hole, make an incision, then I fly away, screaming like an untied balloon. But I would never make that decision. No, I just do it in slow motion. Yes, do it in slow motion. Sweat inside, sad but not crying. Maybe you can make me feel whole, if only for a moment. Fake, but good enough for me. I remember when you said, well, I don't smoke, but I need a fucking cigarette. And would you roll me one? And we can smoke it outside on the porch, and we can both pretend that we're alright, yeah, we're alright. Yes, do it in slow motion. Sweat inside, sad but not crying. Maybe you can make me feel whole, if only for a moment. I'll take it, I'll keep it in the snow glow. In the future, I will shake it and I'll watch the scene trapped inside. Fake, but good enough for me. Alright, thanks for listening. Now, if anybody feels like sticking around, if you like music theory, I just want to briefly discuss what made this song so hard for me to sing and why I'm still, having to work pretty hard to try and do a viable performance of it. At the time, I was looking a lot at key changes and different ways of executing them and different places you can go. So this tune has, you could argue, 3 or 4 different tonal centers, depending on your point of view. I'd say 4. So I just would love to talk about the modulations that I'm using in this, because they're just, it's really fascinating stuff to me. So if anybody likes that kind of thing, So the song starts off in the key of C. Simple chord progression, you're getting like basically a 1 chord, a 6 chord, and then a 3, a minor 3 chord. Just loops, goes around. But that minor 3 chord, that E minor 7 chord, is the most important chord in the song. It is the pivot chord that brings me between all the different key centers. So the first time that's actually rather abrupt. I just go boom, right to a dominant 7 chord. We're going right to a B7 chord there. And then it would sit you there. It'd be comfortably in E minor, but being a nerd at the time, I still am, but past me was even nerdier. He was like, look at this, I'm gonna go it's a very chromatic line. The melody falls chromatically, one semitone at a time, which for somebody like me who's not the greatest singer is actually surprisingly challenging to get right. But so you're seated already in E minor 7, but then it's like, no, we're going to do a real weird cadence here. And the melody's going to end up on Fi and go up to Sol, and that's what's really going to bring you up in. It's a weird thing to do, but it's neat as a way of really cementing. No, we're in a new key now. This isn't the 3 chord. This is the 1 chord. We are in E minor now. So the chorus starts there, screws around in that key. It's just playing around in E minor, and then it goes to its relative major, which you could say isn't technically a new key center because it's the same key. It's G major as opposed to E minor, relative major. But I would say it feels so different in that little post-chorus chunk that I would call it its own tonal center there, personally, because we're really centered in that. We're doing like a whole progression in that. And then actually using a diminished chord here, that looks like it's, what do you call it, a D sharp diminished chord to bring us back to our pivot chord. Change back to the original picking pattern, and then you're back in the key of C. So we move back into our original key of the verse for a second verse. And then from that, we do the same sort of chromatic riff there, and we're getting back into the chorus. Boring. We're there. We're back in the chorus. Key of E minor, does a little G major thing, but then we're going to go to the final tonal center here. The 4th center is in the bridge. And how do we get to the bridge? We end like we end the rest of them. The fake, good enough for me. But instead of going back to the verse, which we've already used this E minor chord as a pivot chord to get us back to the verse, the 1 equals 3 to get you back to the verse anyway. Instead of doing that, it's suddenly the 2 chord of a new key. So that's like the simplest way to modulate into a new key. Just 2, 5, and now we are in D major. Look at that. So then the bridge is in this new tonal center, meant to kind of sound happier. It's a whole step higher than the major that we're using in the verses. So it feels uplifted, even though it's a step lower than the choruses. It still kind of feels more upbeat. So we do a 1, 4, 3, what's a 3 augmented 7, and then 2, 5. Oh, we're back in our, okay. And now what was the 2 chord in the key of D for the bridge is once again turning into the 1 chord. And instead of going to the 5, it goes to its own secondary dominant, to its own 5, rather than the 5 in the key of D. We are going to the 5 of the key of E. So we're getting a B7 chord there. Nice, a B7/D sharp chord. And we are back in the chorus, back in the key of E minor, and that's where the song ends, is in the key of E minor, which if you had to pick a key for the song, like a single main key, I guess E minor is where it ends up, even though it starts in that C major, I'd call it E minor. But wow, if anybody has enough patience to have made it through that, thanks for listening. It's fun for me. I love applying these concepts of, key change and tonal centers and all that stuff that I learned in college that at the time I really didn't know how to use. I love finding ways to use it in making music that I can actually enjoy, and I think that's really cool, and I'm a big proponent of music theory for that reason. So, well, again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.